Hey, welcome to Money Morning. In this conversation with Selva, we talk about central banks, why they're buying gold, what it could mean for the economy, why gold might increase in price, and whether you should buy gold or whether you should buy a small cap stock. Yeah, so Selva, we've been looking at this market and everyone's a bit scared and everyone's thinking about going to safe havens, and we know that central bankers all over the world, they're buying gold. Why do you think they're buying gold?
I think they're buying gold. Well, it's interesting what's happening with the central banks lately with gold. They've been, I'm not sure, we've talked about it, that they've been buying gold, the most gold since 1971.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because back then we were in the gold standard, so they needed to hold gold. So
as their reserves.
As a reserve,
reserves, yeah.
yes. So it's interesting. I think they're buying gold to diversify their reserves. I think what I've seen, the central banks are buying the most gold are Russia, China, Turkey. So I think there is also a move to de-dollarize and to move away a bit from the dollar to, obviously they want to diversify their holdings, but they're also looking at moving away from the dollar to avoid sanctions.
Yeah, but do you think obviously they're de-dollarizing their balance sheets, but do you think they're also like stockpiling these gold reserves in case something does happen? Because you mentioned Russia, they've been buying the most gold, and then someone like China who's also been buying a lot of gold. I think their asset reserves are 2% in gold, whereas in Germany and the US it's like 70%. So it's like if we think that, or if the trade war keeps going on, and China is, because I mean they need these assets to lend money out to their businesses and their people. Do you think that they're stockpiling this gold in terms of trying to safeguard against a crisis that could be happening?
Yes, definitely. I think there's also a move to, I mean, gold is money.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously opinions differ, but gold is money. Gold is a store of value, and it has been for millennia. And I think there is also that there is a lot of uncertainty on what's going on. There's been a lot of manipulation on the market manipulation. Not market manipulation. Monetary manipulation.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think there is a move to just move to more safer assets.
And like I remember watching this video with Carl Bass. He was one of the guys who famously said, "Oh yeah, this US housing market's going to go down." He got it right. It's like the only thing he's got right, but whatever. So he's basically one of these China bears. And I was watching this video on him, and he was basically saying that China is only able to do what they're doing because they're export nation, and they basically use their dollar reserves to be able to continue lending and pumping out more stuff for these businesses to ship over to the US. But like we just talked about, if they're trying to stock up on gold, do you think that is that also, as well as Russia and all these other countries, do you think that's also a negative for the US dollar and the US in general in terms of their economy? Like they're trying to move their exposure away from US dollars because they're worried about the counterparty risk, and they're trying to go to this gold, which is the safe haven, and anyone will buy it and it's very liquid. And what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a bit of a move away from the dollar. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I think it'll happen in a long time. But there is a risk when you're holding dollars. So I think, you're seeing a move, especially in it's all the Eastern countries that are moving towards more of towards gold.
Yeah, because they're all surplus countries as well, right? Because like in the Asian financial crisis, a lot of them actually had real problems because they were all importers, net importers, and they were all borrowing in USD. And of course, that was terrible for them when everyone pulled their USD out, and they had to pay all this debt in USD, and they couldn't do it. So they're like, stuff this, we're going to be like China and Japan. And what they did is they're just pumping out goods and holding those US dollar reserves in case something does happen, and they can use those US dollar reserves to actually, safeguard against anything really bad happening.
I mean, you see that in Latin American countries, where in Argentina in particular, where you need to have a high amount of dollar reserves, because much of the debt is in dollars. So if you can't print US dollars unless you're the US.
Yeah.
So you need to hold those US dollar reserves to pay any debts that you have, and any foreign reserves to pay those debts.
Yeah, speaking of Venezuela though, I mean, like you told me before, what are they doing? They're buying or selling like 20 tons of gold or something?
Well, Venezuela is an interesting case because there is like a bit of a fight going on in the government, in the sense that we've had a president and another president has claimed that they're the president. So basically, like, you've had two presidents claiming the post. So they've been trying to get the I can't remember his name now.
That guy,
yes.
that guy, whatever his name is.
But he's trying to get gold from. He's been trying to get gold, his gold or Venezuela's gold from the bank in London, and he hasn't been able to get it back.
Yeah, because they're like, I think
they've been holding it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's almost like that they're saying, no, you're not an official representative. You can't take this gold out of here. But what I read recently is that this is actually not just, this is not just the Bank of London withholding gold. It's more so the Bank of London is getting pressure from the US and all these other countries of saying, we do not support this kind of system that's going on in Venezuela, and we do not want, we don't want you to give them gold so they can pour out relief into their economy. Do you think, like, what do you think is going to happen from there?
To me, I don't know what's going to happen. To me, like, the more important part about that story is to realize where you're holding your gold.
Yeah.
To always have your gold in a place where you can actually access it.
Sure.
And that no one's gonna tell you, no, you can't have your gold.
Yeah.
So if you're holding gold, to me, like, the moral of the story, let's say, is always hold your gold in a place where there's easy access and obviously in a very safe place, but mostly that someone's not gonna be, you can't get your gold now.
Exactly.
So, but in that point, we're actually seeing a lot of countries repatriating their gold to home. They're actually, I think Germany and there's been a few countries that have actually asked for their gold back, and that's the other move that we're seeing from central banks. We're seeing central banks not only buying more gold, but also bringing more gold home.
Yeah.
Which to me is quite interesting that, like, they're increasing their gold holdings to counter risk, and also that they're bringing it home to hold it themselves.
Yeah, because I wouldn't know off the top of my head, but surely they're going to be the biggest gold purchasers. Surely.
Who?
The central banks. They have to be the biggest purchasers of gold.
Yes, I think they are. I think so. I can't remember now the top of my. I know they're one of the biggest ones, but I'm not sure.
So if they keep buying, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think the gold price is just going to keep going up? Like, while individual investors might go, we're all piling in the gold. It's more so these central bankers with, billions, sometimes trillions of dollars. They're the ones buying gold. And if they keep buying, obviously the price is going to go up. Do you think that's going to keep happening? Because I know, like you said, they've been buying the most amount of gold since 1971. And a lot of people think they're going to continue buying gold throughout 2019.
I think the demand for gold will increase, not only from central banks, but also from people as there's more uncertainty.
Yeah.
I think, we've seen the central banks kind of take a step back on rising interest rates, and maybe even talking about more stimuli, which we haven't seen any interest in gold really in the last few years because of asset prices have gone up, and assets have been quite attractive. That's one of the reasons. But I think that we could see more interest in gold as there's more uncertainty coming. There's Brexit, there's trade talks that nobody knows really what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
And also all this debt that we're holding and that we keep taking on, and there's a slowing growth. So I think it's going to be an interesting...
Sounds positive.
Very positive.
So what do you think is going to happen then? Gold's going up, everyone's rushing to safe haven. Are we going to see something, obviously not like 2008, something different, but something similar to that, where we just see a dramatic wind down in asset prices, or pop the...
Who knows? I think asset prices have gone up quite a bit. nobody really knows what's going to happen. I think, there's going to be a big problem coming at the end of the line, where we could see, I don't see, we could either, there's two ways that I see it happening. Either we have a massive drop, or we just stay kind of the same when there's no growth, and a bit similar to Japan in the sense of low growth and maybe deflation even. So because you also have a population which is getting older, so that's another factor between high debt and population getting older. I don't see where growth is gonna.
I think that's actually interesting because that's one thing that people don't necessarily talk about. Everyone thinks that, population is going to just keep going at a steady rate all the time, but that's actually not what's happening. Like you said, everyone's getting older, and as child mortality increases, we have a lot of people actually moving towards 2-child families instead of 8 or 10 back in the day. So we just have these 2 children placed in the mother and father, and you reach this steady state. And I think it's about, like, I've seen estimates where they said our steady state might be 10 or 11 billion people in the world. So we've had such a great run with countries in the US expanding and countries in Germany expanding, but now they're not expanding more. All we've got now is maybe countries in South America and India, maybe they're growing a little bit, but other than that, it's the sub-Saharan Africa that's growing like crazy because they don't have that child mortality rate it's just way too high. So a lot of people are just having a lot more babies and all this kind of stuff. But what do you think of if we are going to have this malaise of terrible growth to come? I mean, should people be buying stocks? Should they be buying gold instead, or?
So I think like the biggest thing for me is diversification. It's not to hold one thing of maybe one, just Bitcoin or just gold or just, I think it's have a bit of gold, have a bit of cash. And at this point in time, I think just staying away from risk because there is a lot of uncertainty, in my opinion, there's a lot of uncertainty. And I think that would be one of the biggest things for me is just maybe hold more cash than usual, or hold a bit more gold.
Sure.
But also have diversified portfolio. Hold some stocks, hold a bit of everything.
Yeah, it's probably obviously the safest thing for someone who's not maybe on top of everything. Just
maybe try to avoid, not take as many risks now as.
Well, that's not what we haven't seen people do yet, have they? Because everyone's still piling into tech stocks and stock prices are still really high. I think it's more so. Thankfully, we disagree on this, but I just don't understand. Maybe because I'm young, like why people would buy gold. To me, it's almost like buying Bitcoin. Like I know gold is a safe haven, and Bitcoin is just this. Well, actually, I don't know what Bitcoin is, but it's just this kind of new digital money. But it's almost like both of them, you're just betting on the price, and because central banks are buying gold, that means we should buy gold. But when do you get out? What's the price that you go, this is the great value of gold and this is not so great value of gold? Like I just don't understand.
To me, it's more about protecting your wealth than actually like betting on the price. Gold price might go up. I think it might, but I think to me it's more about protecting your wealth. You see it when there's high inflation, you see your money just basically disappearing, just currency. It's happened to me while I was living in Argentina, where there was hyperinflation, and you'd go in the morning, you'd buy a coffee and a sandwich, it would cost you whatever, 10 Australias or whatever, and you would go in the afternoon, and those same items would cost you 15, right? So it's just you get your money at the beginning of the month, and by the end of the month, your money has disappeared. So for me, it's more about wealth protection. It's more about just maintaining your wealth and having something that is resistant to risk and to just like a wealth protector.
Okay. Fair enough. That's probably what we need right now, right? And uncertainty.
So,
we need a bit of
what do you think? So you wouldn't buy gold?
No, I just don't. I think it's I I'm in the camp of someone like Charlie Munger, where he would say, civilized people don't buy gold. What they do is they buy productive businesses. Because I just don't understand how you value gold. Like, what is it worth? Whereas with a business with a small cap stock, maybe you might be able to tell, well, if it's going to produce this amount of if it's going to produce this amount of earnings and it's got this amount of assets, then I can make a reliable estimate of what I could pay for that business going into the future or something like that. It just seems more logical to me. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just too young. Maybe I'll grow up soon.
No, I mean, it's not a matter of being young. It's a matter of what you think is good for you or right for you. Yeah.
Hey, if you like that discussion, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, comment below if you want us to tackle any other conversations that you might have. Thanks.